Okay, guys, I think we're gonna start. Thank you all for getting here in the very early in the morning. It's 8:30 Thursday. It's the I think the Wednesday. The Thursday is the last day we're gonna have the conference of OSCEs. We are here 2 weeks, so we appreciate the diplomats who attended to our event. And today's event is about migration. We're gonna discuss the I think. Openly about migration, not political correct, and we're going to speak about two sides of migration. So basically, the sovereignty, the security, national security, the national integrity of our states, and the influx of migrants in Europe and the United States. And I will give you introduction to the Polish-Belarusian border crisis. I'm dealing with migrants and that seeking international help on the Polish-Belarusian border. I'm writing asylum applications and international help applications. So I'm going to give you like introduction from my side, my practice, but also the general remarks. And then we're going to shift to Klara Sołtan. Klara Sołtan is a Polish, we can say now, former diplomat, but she was 8 years?
About 8 years, 7 years.
7 years. First, you were serving as a public, as a diplomat in South Africa.
Yes, South Africa. I was a consul there, and then in Palestine.
And Palestine. And you're going to focus on Palestine. So also a hot issue from yesterday. We can announce that the war is over. So maybe you're going to have also some hot remarks regarding if it's the reality or only Trump organized this event to, to cover that he didn't get the Nobel Prize. Sorry for my joke. And also Cameron McGregor. So he came directly from the eye of the Sauron, I can say, the Washington, DC. And he's gonna speak how it's the policies and how it's from the United States perspective. So we're gonna have different kind of perspective: the state, the transit state, Poland, and the Palestine, one of the roots, one of the sources of the migration, and the United States, one of the goals. Besides Germany, Netherlands, for instance, of migrants. So we're gonna speak about it. So, not further ado, I will give us introduction speech, and then we're gonna have also discussion with you. So I would like to start with the giving the background and the geopolitical context of what we're discussing. Since 2021, the external border of the European Union between Poland and Belarus has become the scenes of migration crisis that largely represent the instrumentalization of migration. So-called hybrid warfare operated by the Belarusian government. Most analytics also saying that supported by the Russian Federation. And the aim was exerting political pressure on the European Union and also make retaliations on Poland regarding 2020 elections in Belarus, because Poland was pushing some sanctions on Belarus regarding this. This phenomenon is deeply rooted in the broader geopolitical context, so the war in Ukraine, of course, international sanctions, like I said, on Belarus, and regional instability. All of which is shaped the scale of dynamic of the migration in this area. So first of all, migration routes and profile of applicants. So because I'm working in the Pantarey Foundation, Public Diplomacy Foundation, Human Rights Transborder Issues Foundation. So we give from 2018 a feedback to OSCE, but I'm also conducting in each asylum seekers application to the Polish Office for Foreigners. So basically, I'm helping Russian, mostly Chechenians, Tajik people, and Afghan people that are coming to through those countries, through Russia mostly, and then to Belarus, to the Polish border. And before, in 2021 and 2022, they were forcing the Green Line. So basically, they were breaking Polish laws. And the Polish government set the boundaries, set the wall. But I'm speaking about those who were applying in the border posts. So basically the Brześć, Tarnopol, Terespol crossing. So in practice, those who, because of the geopolitical situation, a lot of these migrants have refusal of even registering their application and subjecting to and are subjected to pushbacks. The pushbacks looks like that the car, for instance, going with the asylum families, mostly women with children and elderly. It's from my experience, and they approach by the car to the two border posts, Polish border posts, and the second post is their turn around. So even the border guards, are forcing with arms to go back. So I had a situation. I also made a criminal offense on the border guard, one that was doing this kind of activity. It was very active. Of course, this is one side. The other side is the hybrid warfare and the instrumentalization of the migrants. The Belarusian authorities, with Russian backing, have used migration as a form of hybrid warfare, so-called hybrid warfare, organizing, facilitating, and channeling the movement on third country nationals to the EU external border to destabilize neighboring states. Of course, Poland, but also Lithuania, I think also Estonia. Migrants are thus used as a political leverage rather than the individuals seeking safety, often without accurate information about their rights or legal reality of application for asylum in EU. And a lot of them, they are not speaking, of course, English. Some of them even not speaking Russian. So the Tajiks, for instance, I had a lot of Tajiks that couldn't speak even Russian, and of course there was a problem on the border posts because of communication, and those were the border guards were using this to also even if they said we are seeking asylum, we are seeking international protection, they were turn around. There is a role of smugglers, of course, and exploitation of the migrants' aspirations. Human smuggling networks exploit the legitimate desire of people to flee country of conflict or poverty, of their personal problems with his life and safety. They promise safe passage to Western Europe, for instance, to Netherlands or Germany, in exchange for high fees, often abandoning individuals in the border forests under life-threatening conditions. It was the case when the wall wasn't built by the Polish government. Europol and national law enforcement agencies have confirmed that existence of organized criminal networks operating along the Belarusian-Poland route. These networks continuously adapt border control measures, altering routes, using false humanitarian narrative, or forging travel documents to maintain profit. And from my experience, of course, a lot of migrants gave their story. Some of them, they had documents covering the story. But when they already entered the Polish territory and they were in the border guards facilities, open facilities, took to the open facilities, they went out to Germany. So basically, some of them by the smugglers were taught how to make narration to pass the border post. So it's the truth. And also I got information that some of the documents were in practice they were false documents done on the Belarusian territory. Asylum procedures, so instrumentalization and the practical gaps. At the EU external border, two serious issues coexist. So basically, I would like to sum up this. People with genuine fears of persecution who deserve fair access to asylum procedure, and on the other hand, the manipulation of asylum mechanism by smugglers, in some cases by state actors using migrants for political ends. The European Court regarding Polish border posts on Terespol, we have a judgment in the European Court of Human Rights. It's MK and others versus Poland. It's a judgment in 23rd July 2020. It was also about the Chechenian woman. And the ruling was that there is a systematic refusal to register asylum claims at the border crossings, constitute a violation of international law, exposing applicants to refoulement and depriving them of the effective remedies. The document is represented, describe multiple instances where legal representatives attend to lodge asylum even after this judgment. I also, when I was make application, I was always using this judgment in the appendix that you should allow, because there's this judgment to hold in the account the legal officers, because if they had awareness, so then it was a way for me to make a criminal case against them. So basically not fulfilling their obligations, because of one of the obligation by the border guards is also obligate the rulings and international law. Of course, before the wall was created, there was quite a problem, medical problem regarding, and humanitarian problem with the migrants. We had quite a lot of deaths, hypothermia, injuries, and deaths among trapped in the forest, because we had in 2021, 2022, we had a situation with the Belarusian border guards were shifting basically with buses those migrants to the forest, and they were forced even by arms to go forward and to force those green lines of the border. Now, with the border is militarized, we have the war from 2022 with Ukraine. So Poland is Polish government. This one and before one, it's the same policy more or less. Thinks that it could be used as a pre-war with NATO, maybe some using the migrants crisis to push Poland maybe to even make some situation that could force to some armed conflict. So the Polish governments are always looking on it. International law and legal aspects reflected the case. The applicants I represent consistently invoke the Geneva Convention from 1951, the Polish Act on granting protection of foreigners, requesting the formal registration of asylum claims, interim protection measures, and full fair examination of their grounds for protection. And most of cases I was running, like 90%, they were allowed. So, but it was a big fight for me. I was going to the border posts and I was really quarreling with those border guards. And I had a situation when one Afghan woman, she said when the Taliban was ruling, so she said before, when the United States was occupying Afghanistan, she said NGO of women's rights in Afghanistan, after Taliban took over, her colleagues, a woman, was killed in Afghanistan, the whole family, by Taliban, because they didn't acknowledge that it should be this kind of NGO. So she fled to Russia before of this persecution. And I was really fighting for her for 3 days. And even I had one situation that I was quarreling with the border guard who was ruling the shift. And I was overcome by military with guns. So, I had a situation that I had soldiers around me with guns, but anyway, they let her in. So it's always a fight. But mostly I did claims. I did even go to the police. So I had to let a lot of effort and to be on Terespol on the ground to do it, to take it. So it was a hard times. Practical mechanism of instrumentalization by smugglers. Belarusian regime facilitate visa issuance, arranges logistics, and then leaves migrants stranded in the border area, create political and media pressure on the EU. Smuggling networks monetize human suffering, exploit vulnerable people, and sometimes operate with the tactic tolerance of local authorities. Europol has dismantled several such groups managing the Belarusian-Poland corridor. And also we have a lot of criminal cases in Poland. Also, some of them that could be too much, because they were the Polish government, the prosecutor office also made some case against the NGOs who were helping the migrants. So they were connecting them with the smuggler networks. We had this kind of convictions in Greece, I think, in some years ago, that the NGOs were convicted that help the migrants. So I don't know, of course, the cases, but I want to emphasize that it could be it's like this. And my recommendation, based on my own experience and my analysis, I recommend immediate and lawful acceptance of asylum application at the border crossing, in accordance with the Polish and international law, to eliminate refoulement risk and prevent the political exploitation of the human rights beings. The problem that this government, the liberal federalistic EU pro-federalistic government, introduced a law that is upholding the registration of the applications. So basically, on now, I think from the half year, I think from May, if the foreigner is coming to the border, if he's not only children without parents, or a woman that is that's pregnant, they not accept even the applications. So I think it's not constitutional by this government, and of course not. It shouldn't be like this. So I'm forced to change this policy, because of course we should secure the border, but we should accept those applications. And if they're not true, we should those migrants send back. The second one, enhance law enforcement cooperation, national and Europol level, to dismantle smuggling networks, while simultaneously creating safe and legal pathways for genuine asylum seekers. The third, guarantee humanitarian and medical access to the border zones, along with the monitoring by independent organization. I think OSCE is one of the organizations. They should be, they should always use some officers to monitor this kind of territory. And the fourth, effective interim measures and appeal mechanism, ensuring that applicant can challenge refusal decision promptly and fairly. So I made for instance, this criminal claim against this border officer, and because of course the woman didn't have been accepted to Poland territory, the prosecutor office dropped the case, of course, because they weren't the person who was. I was doing the claim, and I wasn't the person who was harming because of the situation. And to sum up, I think we should look now on, of course, on the territories, because Poland and Estonia, for instance, Lithuania, we are, the only transit routes, and we are for EU, we are the border states. So the Dublin Convention, of course, is applied to us. It's our problem, because they are coming through our territory first to EU. But we must also look on some territories, like, for instance, the Middle East, that Clara will elaborate in a few seconds, and also different regions in Central Asia, for instance, of course, and also North Africa and Africa, basically, and do policies there because then you from Netherlands or you from Estonia, we are like dealing this, and we can only manage those problems and try to facilitate it. So thank you for hearing to my standpoint, and let's go now to Clara. So Clara will say about Palestine and how what's happening in Palestine now, and how it's influenced the EU policy.